Aloha and welcome to ākaaka Energy Healing. I'm Dr. Douglas Herman. Thank you for joining me. In this video, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself, who I am, what I've done, and how it is that I came to be doing this work. First of all, I'm not a medical doctor. My degrees are in comparative religion and culture geography, and if you stick with me, you'll see why that's relevant. It means, among other things, that I've spent my life and my adult career studying non-Western ways of knowing and being, including traditional healing practices. This was preceded by a deep grounding in Christianity. Growing up, my family was very involved with the Episcopal Church across the street, whose teachings, along with the Gothic interior and traditional stained glass, were inspiring. I then attended St. Albans School on the grounds of the Washington National Cathedral. Not only was I schooled in the history of Christianity, but chapel services were mandatory several days a week, sometimes in the cathedral itself. Talk about awe-inspiring. At St. Albans, I got a very solid grounding in the physical sciences. I studied chemistry, biology, genetics, and physics. I then entered Dartmouth College in the Advanced Placement Physics track. But my real love was the metaphysics. Wikipedia tells us that metaphysics is the foundational branch of philosophy that studies the fundamental nature of reality, existence, and being. It goes beyond the empirical sciences to ask deep, abstract questions about what exists, the nature of time and space, causality, and the relationship between mind and matter. So I majored in comparative religion and studied particularly Buddhism, Taoism, and Hinduism. I even spent 2 months in an Orthodox Chinese Zen or Chan monastery my junior year. I went on to graduate school in geography because it offered practical applications to approaching the major issues facing humanity, particularly world hunger. I received a master's degree and a PhD from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I even added on a certificate in urban and regional planning. But my heart kept drawing me back to the fundamental principles of humanity taught in both the great world religions and also in the indigenous traditions around the globe. My master's thesis in geography combined ancient Chinese principles with indigenous traditions and groundbreaking theories in psychology, putting all of that together with social theory and regional planning approaches. Ambitious, though a bit naive. After some years as a university professor, I went on to serve 12 years as senior geographer at the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C. Google Douglas Herman Smithsonian, and you'll find out more about me. Now, what about energy healing? I'd have to say that my first introduction to that was in my Sunday school days when I read stories of miraculous healing through faith and prayer. Then at the Buddhist monastery, I heard more stories of miraculous healings that had happened right there, witnessed by multiple people at the hands of the Buddhist master. So I started doing some research. Already in high school, I'd studied hypnosis. I encountered an early form of magnetic healing. So I'm looking into this stuff. And then I arrive in Hawaii and I hear about kahuna healing. Not many people talking about it. But one of my contacts through my Buddhist network says, oh, you should go see this lady who does this healing practice for you. So I go see her, and then she says, hey, you should learn this technique and so you can do it yourself. So I did. Let me tell you about it. For the past 40 years, I've practiced a similar form of energy healing developed by the late Kahuna La'au Lapa'au, or healing kahuna Morna Simeona. Morna combined her sacred healing knowledge with bits and pieces of contemporary metaphysical research to create a practice she called ho'oponopono, refers to a traditional Hawaiian conflict resolution technique. It means to put things right, to restore balance. In Hawaiian understanding, most disease is in fact dis-ease. The underlying cause is emotional, or in the energy field, which then manifests as physical symptoms. Morna's practice involves a series of prayers to connect the conscious mind with the subconscious mind, where the memories are kept, and then with the superconscious mind, which connects with divinity, or whatever you want to call that. Once this connection is established, you use your own volition, your will, to clear away negative energies, memories, and thought forms. You present them to divinity, they are transmuted to pure light, and they are gone. Now, I've done this Ho'oponopono practice for 40 years, and I'm pretty good at it. But when I have a real crisis, I go to a student of Morna Simeona's who has a very special gift, and she, for a fee, will do a cleansing for you. It's kind of like bringing in the D9 bulldozer to move a whole bunch of negative energy off your plate. Very powerful stuff. And when I do a session with her, whether it's on the phone, by a Zoom, email, I've done it, but a lot of times I've done it in person when I'm able to, I really feel the shift. I feel so much lighter, that something powerful has changed in my energy, in my being, in my subconscious. It's a big relief. Here's what happened. Back in 2025, a friend of mine, fellow spiritual journeyer, if you will, called me up and said, "Hey, Doug, I've got this lady who's doing some kind of energy healing. She's working on a certification. She needs volunteers to work on. Are you interested?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. Any energy healing is better than none, right?" So I connected with this lady. We talked on the phone. She asked me what was going on with my life. What did I want to work on? So forth and so on. The end of which she said, "Okay, I'm going to do the session sometime in the next few days, and then I'll get back to you and tell you what I found out." I'm like, "Okay." So hang up, go about my business, doing this, doing that. Day or two later, I'm just in the middle of the day, just all of a sudden I felt, whoa, I just felt the change. And it was as powerful a change as when that student of Morna Simeona's does it. It was that major kind of, wow, something just shifted in my energy. I feel lighter, I feel cleaner. And the thing is, there's no placebo effect here because I didn't know when she did the session. It's not like I sat there and said, "Oh, I feel so great" afterwards. No, I had no idea when she did it. Just all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, it changed. And that's how I know that this works. And that's when I decided, hey, I want to know more about this. And eventually I decided to become certified in doing these techniques so that I can help others. The Ho'opono practice is really to work on yourself. This is specifically for working on yourself and other people. So my next videos, I'll tell more about the history and the science behind energy healing and this particular practice and what a session with me will be like. Stick around. Mahalo nui loa for joining me.